morning and good evening, depending on where you are. Before I begin, I want to express my thanks to the APEC Harmonization Center for giving me this chance to explore the current status of AI implementation within the pharmaceutical industry. So this is the title that I choose for today's presentation. Embracing reality. How close is the adoption of AI? I select this title because I wanted to emphasize the importance of understanding the current status of AI implementation in the pharmaceutical industry. I recognize that our audience member comes from a diverse background and may have a different experience of the AI. And I attend the workshop for the 2 days, and I hear a lot about the e-something and e-consent, e-diary, and e-document. And I think I see the where you are heading to. So if you are performing the centralization clinical trial, or if you consider or initiate the decentralized clinical trial, I think you already opened the door stepping into the AI world. So I wanted to share from this presentation like what I see in the future, and I hope that you will get some idea that what and where to initiate and what to prepare for applying the AI in your application domain. So before I dive into my presentation, to give you some idea like why I'm here, please allow me to provide some short introduction of myself and where I am. I'm Eun-young Park, the CEO of A&B. The company was established in 2022, a little over a year, and we have comprised of the AI scientist and the biologist. And we developed the AI platform for generating therapeutic antibody candidates. And this platform is trained on the antibody sequences and enabled to excel to producing the target-specific antibody sequences in response to the input. So our team is continually working on to enhancing its performance, make it more applicable to the real world. And so my AI application is more toward in the early stage of the discovery. So I'm going to utilize my knowledge to gather some information of the AI application to the healthcare industry. And it is also provide me a great opportunity to understand the changes in the clinical domain. And also this is also like a great experience that to see the transformative changes in the clinical domains and the accelerated digitalization brought about the pandemics. So I'm going to start the presentation with these questions. To AI or not to AI? Is that a question? I will give you a moment to think about your response. So if your answer is clear yes or no, you may need to catch up more. I think we tilt to this question is more toward to how to use it responsibly and transparently. So in this presentation, I worked through this exploration of the current environment by first looking at the broad landscape and the changes we are currently facing in the healthcare industry. Then I will narrow down our focus to the transformation happening in the domain of drug development. And you will see the dynamic changes in the drug development, and it will give you a sense of the big wave coming to in the adoption of AI in the drug development. Lastly, I will drill down even further to spotlight the changes take place in the clinical studying. By doing that, I hope that you will gain some general understanding of how AI is reshaping the way of the healthcare. By end of this presentation, I hope that you will have some sense of what and where we can initiate and participate in this transformative journey. The healthcare industry is undergoing a profound transformation, and the AI is playing a role in the driving this change. A patient and healthcare providers and hospital already being influenced by AI, sometimes even without their notice. This illustration is portraying the future of the healthcare, I think. The patient can monitor their health in the real time using a wearable device and send the data for analysis. The health information is then analyzed by AI, allowing clinicians to make informed decisions based on the AI suggestions. This enables personal medication and the prompt deliver the suitable medication to the patient's doorstep. This entire process depends on the digitalization. And then the two-day workshop we are focusing on is about the concept of decentralization trials. This trial utilizes the digitalization of data collection from the remote and indirect patient care, allowing for accessible and rapid decision-making. Thinking about the digitalization as the driving force behind all the changes. But in my view, I think the digitalization is basically the same as the data. The change we see in the healthcare often happens under the surface, just like the iceberg hidden under the water surface. The digitalization accumulates a massive amount of data under the surface. However, the overwhelming volume of the big data is over the human capability. Hence, we need the better and smarter system that can extract and connect the data to deliver a valuable insight. And I think this is where AI comes into play. With these ongoing changes, the relevant stakeholders are raising the important questions, particularly the government are focusing on the security of data use, because the clinical data is inherently connected to the personal information. It is also noticeable that over 50% of the APEC countries have already developed AI policies in the healthcare sectors. So in summary of the first section, AI in the healthcare industry has gained a significant attention. The pandemic has accelerated this decentralization clinical trials, making use of digital transformation. This digitalization generates a massive amount of data. This interconnective movement developed the way for the implementation of AI to extract valuable insight from the available data. Having looked at the broad shift in the healthcare, I'm going to narrow down our focus on AI application in drug discovery and development and the clinical trial. AI's implementation has made a significant impact on every stage of drug development, from target identification to the post-market monitoring. In 2023, the industry hosts over 800 AI biotech companies. And this can be categorized by their development stage. And a diagram on the left side illustrates the landscape of the biotech in their categorized development stage. But due to the density of the data, I have to replace the diagram with a table. And the majority of the AI biotechs are actively involved in the early stage drug development. In addition, they also have a significant presence in the clinical development. So comparing to 2017, the changes in the number of AI biotech and the collaborations and the investment size are dramatically increasing by 10 to 20-fold. The changes over the last decade has been substantial, and there is no sign of the slowdown. The AI-based drug discovery and the clinical trial market is experiencing remarkable growth, with annual increase of over 26%. And over 50% of this market is attributed to AI application in clinical studies. Someone you may already see this publication. The FDA published a review paper in Clinical Pharmacology and Therapeutic last year. Their retrospective analysis demonstrate 132 cases of submission involved AI or the machine learning, with 89% of the AI application originated from the clinical development stage. So in the previous FDA analysis was about the study cases in the clinical trial that has been submitted in the regulatory agency. So it's quite a later stage of the drug development. But if you look at the activity in the research area, there is more to come. The patent filing for the use of AI in the drug discovery have an 8-fold growth in less than a decade. A similar trend is observed in the research paper publication in both a drug discovery and in a clinical study. Data analysis in 2021 that highlight the remarkable increase in the publication related to the clinical research, healthcare, and the clinical practice with AI involvement. At last but not least, the involvement AI in the clinical trial has also seen a significant increase. So I do my homework. So I went to the clinical trial website and I searched the study, the term with the machine learning. And it has the list of 1,709 studies that has any relation of the AI either in the study title or intervention and conditions. And it emphasized that the growing influence of the AI in the clinical setting. So I analyzed the most frequent terminology used in the study, and study title and the condition and intervention. It highlights a significant focus on a behavior and the device and diagnostic test studies. When I look terms under the medical condition, it becomes evident that the cancer is the primary area of a study benefiting from the AI application. And this month, a review paper was just published focusing especially on AI's role in the cancer clinical trial. The author reviewed several AI trials actively shaping the decision for the clinical studies in phase 2 or 3. And I would like to share one such interesting study conducted by the Duke University. This study actually used the machine learning algorithm for their intervention. They conducted 2 studies, and the first one was initiated in the 2019, and the follow-up study was completed just a month ago. The first study was published in 2020, and in 2022, the review paper was published, and they discussed about the challenges raised in the previous clinical study. And I also expecting to see the upcoming publication with their finding from the follow-up study, because it just finished a month ago, so they probably will share their finding soon. And now I'm going to introduce more details about these 2 papers. The first publication provides a comprehensive study outline and the finding from their evaluation. The illustration shows their workflow over the study, which involved collecting and processing data from the electronic health record. The focus of this study was on the outpatient undergoing either radiotherapy or the chemoradiation, who frequently require acute care. In this study, data from EHRs was collected and processed and fed into the AI model. An AI system identify a group of the patient at either high or low risk. I think which is the critical step in this process. I simplified their protocol, so if you look at the paper, you may have some more information. So the AI system identify a group of patients at high or the low risk. Approximately 900 patients participate, and the machine learning algorithm identify about 361 patients as high risk for the acute care. Among these identified the high risk patient, a random assignment divide them into 2 separate groups. One group followed the standard care management with a weekly visit for evaluation. In contrast, the other group was obligated to visit clinician twice a week. Their finding was interesting, that the patient identified as high risk by the machine learning indeed have a significantly higher risk of acute care event. At 7.4%, actually 17.4% compared to 2.7% for the low risk group. Additionally, among the high-risk patients who had the frequent visit experienced the reduced rate of acute care events, down to 12.3%. These findings suggest that the machine learning can effectively identify the high-risk outpatient, and this identification can then be used to design the clinical protocol that machine learning then mandate more frequent clinical evaluation. This finding demonstrates that the implication of machine learning can support an improvement in the clinical outcome and the reduction in the healthcare cost. In the second part, concluding the first study, the researcher gained the numerous lessons and insight. Their finding highlights a number of limitations encountered when applying the machine learning in the clinical setting. And I'm not going through all the details, but what they mean, all the details. But however, I wanted to mention that these challenges predominantly involved around the data management. Emphasize that the primary difficulty in the running AI as a clinical study often connected with the handling data. AI cannot be simply expressed by the equation, but if I can simplify it, AI can be seen as a sum of model and the data. In the data, in a healthcare, our data applies more significant roles than in any application domain. The pandemic has accelerated digitalization, where the value of the data has grown substantially. To unlock this value data must be processed to be understandable by model, allowing them to connect information and generate even higher value. To make the connection between the data, which is essential, and I can say another term for the harmonization. To connect the data, we must foster collaboration and the communication. I think the FDA has taken a commendable step in this direction. For instance, the FDA has recently published 2 crucial discussion papers, one addressing the roles of AI in drug manufacturing, and the other focusing on the use of AI and machine learning in drug development. This publication paper holds a diverse meaning for individuals from various fields and their area of the expertise. But the way I interpret this paper, they act as accelerator for asking questions that can broaden our perspective and challenge our existing mindset. It is equally important to recognize that they will also stimulate the new questions. By sharing these questions, even when the answer is not clear, we can connect with others who share the similar questions. I anticipate that some of these questions may lead to innovation solution and may help address the disappointments and the gaps we might have encountered along the way. And usually, I conclude my presentation by inviting the questions from the audience. Today, my goal is inspire you to ask a question to yourself. So I would like to close the presentation with this quote from the Einstein. And he says, if he had 1 hour to save the world, he would spend 55 minutes defining the problem and only 5 minutes finding the solution. I think this statement is not only applied to save the world. I think this is actually applying the area that where we are. So I think the asking question is the first step in the harmonization and the finding solution for the future of AI application in the healthcare industry. We must keep asking questions and defining problem and making connection even when we don't have the clear answer for the questions. I think this process is critical for the progress in our AI-driven healthcare in the future. And this is all for today's presentation, and thanks for your attention.